What happens when a lab in Australia cooks up a quantum battery that charges faster, the bigger you make it, and then the entire future of that tech slams straight into one tiny, invisible layer of glass? That's not hype. That's the fault line running under the next trillion-dollar energy play. Not a chart, not a tweet, a materials problem, a supply chain choke point, a show-me-the-indium moment. Welcome to Junior Mining Gold, the podcast where we dig deep into the raw, unfiltered world of building fortunes from the ground up. I'm your host, Dusty Nugget, the guy who's ridden more boom and bust cycles than a rodeo cowboy on a bull named Recession. If you're new here, we don't sugarcoat the grind. We expose the guts of business, from solo hustles to empire-building shares. Before we dig into the dirt, this episode is brought to you by JuniorMining.gold. Are you tired of missing the boat on the next big discovery? JuniorMining.gold is your ultimate radar for the high-stakes world of small-cap mining. We track the drills, the assays, and the movers so you don't have to. If you want an edge, head over to JuniorMining.gold. Now, let's get to the gold. Today we're doing a straight read-through of a brand new March 2026 paper out of Light, Science and Applications, Superextensive Electrical Power from a Quantum Battery. Figure 1 in that paper is the money shot, a layered microcavity device built like a photonic sandwich. Bottom to top you've got ITO-coated glass, that's indium tin oxide, the transparent conductor, silver mirror layers top and bottom, a copper phthalocyanine absorber layer, and a razor-thin 1 nanometer lithium fluoride cap. They hit it with ultra-fast pump probe lasers, and boom! They demonstrate superextensivity. The bigger the cavity, the more power you pull out in a steady state. Collective quantum effects, polaritons, energy gradients, the whole sci-fi cookbook. Sounds like the holy grail for remote charging, ultra-dense storage, renewables on steroids. But here's the junior mining angle nobody in the quantum lab is talking about. Scale this thing up, and one material in that stack is going to become the rarest, most geopolitically ugly bottleneck on the planet. And it ain't silver, it ain't lithium, it's indium. Let me lay it out clean for you, the same way I'd walk a new investor through the core samples. We rank these 4 materials by real-world supply risk. First, indium in ITO, clear number 1 bottleneck. Indium isn't mined for its own sake. It's a trace byproduct pulled out of zinc sulfide ores. Global refined production sits around 1,080 tons a year. China controls roughly 70% of that refining. ITO is still the single biggest end use. Tiny market, byproduct dependence, single country refining dominance, that's the textbook recipe for a strategic choke point. Up second is silver. Real cost and throughput pressure, sure. The paper uses dual silver mirror layers. Silver market was already in deficit in 2024 to 25, and mine supply is 25,000 tons. But silver has a big, diversified global reserve base and plenty of primary producers. It's more of a price will bite you story than a you literally can't get the ounces story. Then there's lithium fluoride, a specialty salt. Lithium itself is 240,000 plus tons production. The constraint here would be ultra-high purity processing and handling, not the raw metal. Negligible mining risk. Finally, there's copper phthalocyanine, synthetic organic pigment, not mined, made in chemical plants. Supply risk is purity and deposition yield, not geology, dead last. Bottom line, if quantum batteries or any scaled version of this strong light matter coupling tech ever leaves the lab, the ITO layer, the indium, is the one that could quietly throttle the whole rollout. So who actually controls the best sources right now? Not pure-play indium miners, because there basically aren't any. Indium rides shotgun on zinc. You want the smelters and refiners who pull it out as a high-value byproduct. Here's the short list any serious critical materials investor should have on watch. Korea Zinc, the world's largest single-site non-ferrous smelter, recovers indium at scale. Just closed the deal on April 1, 2026, to buy Nurstar's entire U.S. zinc mining and smelting complex in Tennessee for a monster new integrated facility. They're pouring billions into critical minerals capacity, indium, gallium, germanium, the works. This is the 800-pound gorilla. Then there's Teck Resources. Their trail operations in British Columbia run a dedicated indium refinery, one of the cleanest, highest purity operations on the planet. Long track record, North American jurisdiction, exactly the kind of de-risked exposure investors want when China risk premiums spike. Nearstar, part of Trafigura, their Obi plant in France, is a high-purity indium producer. Just sold the U.S. assets to Korea Zinc, but still runs major European capacity. And finally, there's Indium Corporation, private but critical, the downstream king. They don't mine, they refine, recycle, and reclaim indium from spent ITO sputtering targets. In a world where every gram matters, recycling becomes a strategic mine. Watch for any moves they make into new capacity or partnerships. And for the true junior upside, keep American West Metals on radar. They are ticker AW1 on the ASX and AWMLF over the counter for you North American degens. Let's look at them speculatively. They're 100% focused on North America, and their crown jewel is the West Desert Project in Utah. Not some greenfields mosquito pit in the middle of nowhere. This thing sits about 160 kilometers southwest of Salt Lake City. Power, water, roads, the whole kit. Utah jurisdiction, one of the lowest risk mining states on the planet. No drama, no permitting roulette like you get in half the world. Here's the headline that should make every critical material speculator sit up straight. West Desert already hosts the largest undeveloped indium resource in the entire United States. 23.8 million ounces at an average grade of around 20 grams per ton indium. That's sitting inside a 33.7 million ton JORC resource that also packs 1.3 million tons of zinc, 49,000 tons of copper, 10 million ounces of silver, and 119,000 ounces of gold. Open pit and underground components already defined. But here's the real speculative rocket fuel. They've only assayed about 35% of the historic drilling for indium. Think about that for a second. The current number is already America's biggest, and they haven't even looked at most of the core yet. That's why they just fired the starter pistol. Late March 2026, they kicked off a 5,000-meter diamond drilling program targeting high-grade indium zones outside the current resource. The so-called Goldilocks zone has already thrown hits like 94.5 grams per ton indium, 2.8% copper, 39.5 grams per ton silver. They're also chasing gallium along the Wab Fault, same geology as the Apex mine, which used to be America's top gallium producer. Gallium plus indium together? That's the full critical metals combo plate. And they're not just drilling blind. They've brought in heavy Washington muscle, appointed a top-tier U.S. government advisory firm in February to unlock strategic funding, Defense Production Act support, the works. Because indium just got slapped with Chinese export restrictions, and the Pentagon and the Teck crowd are both staring at the same supply chart. West Desert is literally positioned to become America's first domestic mine-to-market indium supply chain. From a pure speculator seat, here's why this one gets me leaning in. One drill program away from a monster resource upgrade. Byproduct credits from zinc, copper, silver, and gold that could make the economics sing even before indium pricing goes parabolic. U.S. government tailwinds that junior miners rarely get this early. Market cap still sitting around $40 to $46 million as of early April 2026. That's peanuts when you're sitting on the only U.S. indium deposit of scale, and the quantum battery crowd starts hunting non-China supply. Look, it's still a junior. Execution risk, dilution risk, the usual rodeo. But when the ITO buyers finally wake up and realize the indium wall is real, this is the kind of asset that doesn't just re-rate, it reprices the entire critical minerals conversation in North America. We're tracking West Desert drill results in real time over at JuniorMining.gold. Metallurgy, expansion targets, government catalyst calendar, the whole playbook. If you want the edge on the next leg of the indium story, this is the one you keep on your watch list. The quantum battery headline is sexy. Super extensive power, polariton magic, faster charging, the bigger you go. But the real story for us in the dirt is the same one we always tell. The next big tech wave doesn't get built on hype. It gets built on the guys who can actually deliver the ounces, the grams, the high-purity compounds when the orders start flooding in. Indium is the one that could make or break the timeline. This is Dusty Nugget. Remember, mining fortunes aren't built by guessing next week's candle. They're built by recognizing when the rules of the market are changing and owning the assets that reprice when the old system can't fake it anymore. Stay bold, stay scrappy, and I'll see you at the next drill site. You can learn more at JuniorMining.gold. Please like, subscribe, and visit our socials or our Substack for more content.